What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing. This concludes the heavyweight version of the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. We're going to end this with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, the magnificent Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Let's see how he compares with some of the heavyweights we've already reviewed. Now, I've rounded off all the heavyweights that I've admired, looked at their careers, and analyzed their championship title bouts. I've took a look at Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler. I've taken a look at Rocky Marciano. I reviewed Muhammad Ali. All great fighters. Now, I have Muhammad Ali, the greatest heavyweight of all time. Heavyweight champion of all time. Rocky Marciano, 49-0. Outstanding heavyweight during the 50s. Marciano was a punching machine. Jack Dempsey, for the roaring 20s, they have never seen anyone like him. But Jack Dempsey didn't defend his title enough. He didn't give African Americans a title shot. He refused Harry Wells an opportunity, Sam Langford an opportunity, Jack Johnson an opportunity. Now we come to the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Here's a man who defended his title 25 times. Defended it 11 and a half years. He was a punching machine. Magnificent. Outstanding. Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. Let's take a look at his outstanding and magnificent career. Born in Lexington, Alabama, May 13th, 1914, Christian Joseph Louis Barrow. Stood 6 foot 1.5 inches. Started his boxing career as an amateur. Won light heavyweight championship and national tournament in 1934. Was Golden Gloves title holder. Began professional career under the management of Julian Black and John Roxborough. On July 4th, 1934, at Chicago Comiskey Park, he started his professional career by knocking out Jack Cracklin in 1 round. Scored 43 knockouts, won 7 decisions, and lost 4 bouts. In a total of 54 contests as a Simon Purse. Dropped decisions to Johnny Miller, Max Merrick, Clinton Bridge, and Stanley Evans. Beat Evans in a return bout. Was runner-up to Merrick in light heavyweight class, National AAU Championship in Boston in 1933. Was National AAU light heavyweight title in St. Louis, April 1934. One of the most powerful hitters in the history of boxing, and is favorably compared with such stars as Jack Dempsey and Jim Jeffries. In his first year as a professional, he scored 10 knockouts in a dozen fights. He won the world heavyweight title in Chicago, Illinois, Comiskey Park, June 22nd, 1937, by knocking out James J. Braddock in 8 rounds. Set world record for successful defenses of heavyweight title with 25 lost rounds, the only one loss as a professional, prior to retirement in 1949. Max Schmeling stopping him in 12 rounds before Joe won title later. When champion, knocked out Schmeling in 2 minutes and 4 seconds of opening round, receiving total of $434,412 during first 2 years of fighting and grossed more than $4,400,000 in regular matches. Now, Joe Louis was the most taken advantage of fighter in the history of boxing. In the history of boxing, he donated his purse to the Army Relief and the Navy Relief. And because the checks were written in his name, that meant he was responsible for those taxes being paid. Now, he had managers and accountants for that. When he fought Jim Braddock received 10% of Joe Louis's purses for the 10 years remaining of Joe Louis's career. The largest gate was with Billy Conn in their second fight, $1,925,364. Before that, it was Gene Tunney and Jack Dempsey, $1 million gate. Made comeback on September 27th, 1950, and lost in 15 rounds at Yankee Stadium to Ezzard Charles. Now, that was when Ezzard Charles solidified his heavyweight championship. He had already had the NBA, but when he defeated Joe Louis was still the lineal champion, but he had retired for 2 years. And when he came back and lost to Ezzard Charles solidified his championship. His final comeback fight was with Rocky Marciano on October 26, 1951, in which Rocky scored an 8-round KO. He fought fighters such as Primo Carnera, King Levinsky, Paulino Escudam, Max Schmeling, Jack Sharkey, Bob Pastor, Jimmy Braddock, Billy Conn, Lou Nova, and Jersey Joe Walcott. Outstanding heavyweight champion. Let's look at some more stats. 1934, July 4th, 1-round knockout of Jack Kraken. July 11th, 3rd-round knockout, Willie Davis. July 29th, 2nd-round knockout of Larry Udell. August 13th, Jack Crazen, Chicago, 8-round victory. August 27th, Buck Everett, Chicago, 2nd-round knockout. Now this continues. December 14th, Lee Ramage, Chicago, 8th-round knockout. Throughout the first 3 or 4 years of his career, 1935, January 4th, Passy Peroni, Detroit. He defeated him in 10 rounds. March 28th, Nady Brown, Detroit, 10-round victory. April 12th, Roy Laser, Chicago, 3rd-round knockout. April 27th, Roscoe Torres, Flint, 6th-round knockout. Roscoe Torres was a very good African-American fighter. June 25th, Primo Carnera, New York City, 6th-round knockout. August 7th, King Levinsky, Chicago, 1-round knockout. September 24th, Max Baer, Madison Square Garden, 4-round knockout. December 13th, Paulino Escudam, Madison Square Garden, 4-round knockout. 1936, January 17th, Charlie Ratliff, Chicago, 1-round knockout. June 19th, Max Schmeling, Madison Square Garden. Joe Louis was KO'd in the 12th round. Now, Joe Louis, in all fairness, he wasn't taking his training seriously, but that's his responsibility. But it is what it is. Playing golf, reading his own headlines. That was a wake-up call for Joe Louis. August 18th, Jack Sharkey, New York City. Third round knockout. September 22nd, Al Latour, Philadelphia. Fifth round knockout. October 14th, K.O. Brown, exhibition. December 14th, Eddie Sims, one-round knockout in Cleveland, Ohio. 1937, January 29th, for Bob Pastor, Madison Square Garden. He defeated him in 10 rounds. February 17th, Nady Brown, Kansas City. Fourth round knockout. June 22nd, James J. Braddock, Chicago, Comiskey Park. 8-round KO and won the World Heavyweight Championship. August 30th, that same year. First title defense, Tommy Farr, New York City. Defeated him in 15 rounds. And it's funny because they started questioning Joe Louis's power because he didn't knock out Tommy Farr. Unbelievable. 1938, February 23rd, Nathan Mann, Madison Square Garden, third round knockout. April 1st, Harry Thomas, Chicago, fifth round knockout. June 22nd, Max Schmeling, Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry, it was Yankee Stadium. First round knockout. That first round knockout of Max Schmeling in Yankee Stadium was, it was the world over. At that time, Germany was going to get into a war with the United States. And Joe Louis was called to the White House and said, we need these muscles to defeat Germany. All the pressure was put on Joe Louis, and he was able to KO Max Schmeling in that first round. That's one for the history books. 1938, February 23rd, Nathan Mann. Third round KO. Harry Thomas, April 1st, fifth round KO. Max Schmeling, June 22nd. I love saying that again. First round KO. 1939, January 25th, John Henry Lewis, New York City. First round knockout. Now, John Henry Lewis was the light heavyweight champion at the time. And he was going blind, and Joe Louis wanted to help him out with some bread, so he gave him a title shot. April 17th, Jack Roper, Los Angeles. First round knockout. June 28th, two-ton Tony Galento, New York City. Fourth round KO. September 20th, Bob Pastor, Detroit. Title fight. 11th round KO. 1940, February 9th, Arturo Godoy, New York City. 15-round decision. March 29th, Johnny Paycheck, New York City. Second round KO. Title shot. Johnny Paycheck was a bellhop at the Grand Hyatt. He was a bag carrier as well for that hotel. Louis gave him a title shot. Now this goes on. Joe Louis is doing exhibitions all through 48 and 49. Majority exhibitions. 1950 exhibitions. He had retired at that point, so he was consistently active doing exhibitions. September 27th, he met Ezra Charles when he made a comeback. 15-round loss for the World Heavyweight title. Like I said, this solidified Ezra Charles as heavyweight champion. November 29th, Cesar Billon, Chicago, 10 rounds. Victory for Joe Louis. 1951, January 3rd, Freddie Bishop, Detroit, 4th round knockout. June 15th, Lee Savoy, New York, 6th round knockout. August 15th, Jimmy Bivens, Baltimore, 10 round victory. Now, Jimmy Bivens was part of the murderers' row that got an opportunity to face Joe Louis. Wasn't for the title, but he got a chance to face the Brown Bomber. October 26th, Rocky Marciano, New York. Joe Louis was stopped in 8 rounds. Now, that was one of the saddest moments in boxing history, the passing of the torch. But this is what makes boxing. Max Melling versus Joe Louis, June 19th, 1936, Yankee Stadium, New York City. Joe Louis, Billy Conn, June 18th, 1941, Polo Grounds, New York City. Joe Louis, James Braddock, June 22nd, 1937, Comiskey Park, Chicago. Joe Louis stops Braddock, becomes the new champion of all heavyweights in the entire world. Proudest moment in boxing. Joe Louis, June 22nd, 1938, Yankee Stadium, New York. Max Melling, KO'd in 1 round. Second greatest moment in boxing. Joe Louis, June 19th, 1946, Yankee Stadium, New York City. 8-round KO of Billy Conn. This is when they came back from the war. Joe Louis told Billy Conn, you can run, but you can't hide. Conn was talking a little greasy to him at the press conference. Now, just to go over Joe Louis's title bouts, his stats. I'm just going to scan this so you can take a look at it. Joe Louis's ring earnings. So as you can see, Joe Louis earned $4,626,721.69. As we compare the measurements of Joe Louis of those who came before him, James J. Corbett was 6'1". Bob Fitzsimmons was 5'11" 3/4". James J. Jeffries was 6'2.5". Tommy Burns 5'7". Jack Johnson 6'1.25". Jess Willard 6'6" and a quarter. Jack Dempsey 6'1". Gene Tunney 6'1.5". Max Melling 6'1". Jack Sharkey 6 foot. Primo Carnera 6 foot 5 3/4. Max Baer 6'2.5". Jimmy Braddock 6'2". Joe Louis 6'1.5". Ezra Charles 6 foot. Joe Walcott was 6 foot. Rocky Marciano 5'11". Ingemar Johansson 6'1.5". And Floyd Patterson 5'11.5". Let's take a look at this spreadsheet. This is Joe Louis and Bob Pastor, Madison Square Garden. January 29th, 1937. Joe Louis, Kingfish Levinsky. First round knockout. Joe Louis, Jack Sharkey, August 18th, 1936. Third round knockout. Joe Louis, Jack Sharkey. Third round knockout. Yankee Stadium, New York, August 18th, 1936. Jack Sharkey was a former heavyweight champion. Took the title from Max Melling and was dethroned by Primo Carnera. Joe Louis, Arturo Godoy from Chile. This was an impressive fight by Joe Louis. Fought him twice. Joe Louis, Jersey Joe Walcott, November 1948. Controversial decision. Called for a rematch. Joe Louis KOs Jersey Joe Walcott. Joe Louis versus Ezra Charles. This fight would solidify Ezra Charles' heavyweight title. Pat's Blue Ribbon sponsored the bout. Ezra Charles was a phenomenal heavyweight, but I have him as one of the greatest middleweight fighters of all times. Brown Bomber, phenomenal heavyweight champion, revered by all during his years of boxing. There was no one else like him. Here we have Joe Louis, Jersey Joe Walcott, in preparation for their heavyweight championship bout. June 23rd, 1948. The title was the Police Gazette belt. Louis got caught with one of those F-stops that Walcott was known for. F-stop. Feint step to opposite position. Great fight. Joe Louis has Walcott up against the ropes. Joe Louis about to attack the body of Jersey Joe Walcott. Now everyone was always curious to know what would happen had Joe Louis faced Jack Dempsey. My opinion is Joe Louis stops Jack Dempsey, especially if Jack Dempsey was to rush in the way he normally would. Now we're looking at a first round KO. Uppercut left hook, step to the side, straight right hand. Fight's over. Joe Louis, wife Marva, daughter Jackie, son Joe Louis Jr. Some of Joe Louis' opponents. Lee Savoy, Lee Omer. Knockouts. Tammy Mariello, first round knockout. Pat Kaminsky, sparring partner, knocked out every time. Our former Max Baer opponent, Buddy Baer, Max Baer's younger brother, fought him twice, once for the Army relief. Now Baer was knocked out in the first fight, but claimed he was hit after the bell and got a second opportunity to be knocked out again. Kingfish Lewinsky was knocked out in the very first round. Told his wife he zigged when he should his ag. Tommy Farr of Wales, Joe Louis' first title defense after defeating James Braddock. Tommy Farr went the distance. "15 rounds in Madison Square Garden." Joe Louis and Billy Conn. (1941, 1946). Joe Louis versus Tommy Farr. 1937, August 30th. Now, after Joe Louis had all those exhibitions and 2 title defenses during the war, he owed taxes. So to pay them taxes off, he advertised products that he never used. One was the Joe Louis Punch. And when asked, what was your favorite beverage, he said Coca-Cola. Chesterfield, the champ of cigarettes. Joe Louis never smoked until after his career was over. Joe Louis had a hair grease. Slick your hair back. It was a pomade. Joe Louis received not 1 cent for these endorsements. Went straight to the IRS. Joe Louis gets KO'd in the 12th round with Max Melling in 1936. Sad night for boxing. Here you have Joe Louis. One last attempt. Grabs onto the last strand of the ring ropes. Unable to get up. Unable to pull himself up from defeat. Is KO'd in the 12th round. So Joe Louis trains hard, get himself back to the heavyweight picture, and gets an opportunity to face James J. Braddock, 1938-7. Louis lost to Schmeling, but came back to be champ. Louis at top after KO of Jim Braddock. June 23rd, Joe Louis, only 3 years after being ranked as amateur, today rules as heavyweight champion of the world at age 23. He wrestles crown from James J. Braddock before a crowd of 55,000 in Comiskey Park last night with one murderous right hand, a blow that attacked and struck with the speed of a rattlesnake. Now Joe Louis is ready for his rematch with Max Melling. Louis wins on a KO in the first round. Max Melling has been knocked out in the first round in 1938. As you can see here, the ferocious right hand to the body. Cracks Max Melling's ribs with a yell that can be heard throughout the stadium. Salute to Joe Louis. As you can see here, a right uppercut hook right under the left arm of Max Melling's ribs. Just pulverized him. Dropped like a rag doll in the first round. One vertebrae broken X-ray report. Louis leaves Gotham without signing for September bout. 10 days in hospital for Max spine hurt. New York, June 23rd. Battered senseless by champion Joe Louis. Battered of punches, a barrage of punches in their heavyweight title fight last night. Max Melling will be confined to Polyclinic Hospital for 10 days. Joe Jacobs, his American manager, announced this afternoon. Dr. Robert E. Brennan, who was attending the German, advised 3 weeks in bed for complete recuperation from a fracture of the transverse process, bony structure linked to the lower part of the spine. So there you have it. The power of Joe Louis. Let's take a look at his knockouts. Max Melling, Buddy Bear, Abe Simon, two-ton Tony Galento, 4th round knockout. Jersey Joe Walcott, second fight, 1948. Wow. Johnny Paycheck, 1st round. James J. Braddock, 1937, world title. Al Tour, 1st round. Abe Simon, that was for the Navy relief. Max Baer, triple left hook, boom, boom. That was a 4th round knockout. And this is the pulverizing punch that separated Max Melling from his senses. 1st round knockout. Two-ton Tony Galento. Billy Conn, 12th round KO. That was in 1941. Abe Simon. Don't know what hit him. Ooh. Joe Louis was just a ferocious puncher. That was a Couture Couture. Woo! Buddy Bear, unbelievable. Lee Ramage. You've never seen a heavyweight in history do anything like this. Unbelievable. Destroys two-tone Tony Galento. Salute to Joe Louis.